Was that the bell?
That was the bell.
We have a match?
We do.
Let's go. Don't sub the Shinexx facing off against Yami. Rainmaker, make it rain, baby. Let's see what the, oh my god, they have 2 machine slashers.
Wow.
Machine slasher and a tri-slash on the opposite side, and we're going to try to get this. I mean, I get it, right? You have like a small map here. So this map, buckets are supreme on this map, just because of like the little like ways you can like throw over that middle hill in the middle, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're up in one of the high points of this map, in particular with a bucket, it's so scary to get up against. Right now, looks like with 3 members going down on the side of Yami, Don't Sub to Shinexx is grabbing up the Rainmaker and playing this aggressive way that we saw them previously play in the last set, getting to this first checkpoint.
Yeah, they have a support weapon this time around too, having that end zap, but still doing a fantastic job of just like overwhelming their opponents the second they get a wipe out. They take it so far when they get all the splats, but good response from Yami, starting to bring it back bit by bit, stopping the push, at least for a little bit. We'll see what happens. They're going to pick it right back up here and try to keep it going. You saw Keeper try to go up the hill with no pain whatsoever because of that little huddle. That's a very brute force method to go for. Oh, good snipe.
Really good snipe there from Red, peeking on that right side, able to get that, and now, with the help of that snipe from Red, Yami able to pick up the Rainmaker and get it back into mid, get it away from that pedestal. They want to get it as far away from the pedestal. That way, it makes it that much more difficult for the other team to get back to the pedestal to dump the Rainmaker for themselves. Yeah,
just try to get it away as far as possible. Yami has to back up now at this point. They only got 1 person left. You see the the retreat coming into play while trying to wait for their players to respawn back into action. They are here, gets a splat on top of that. That's going to be a free second splat on top of everything else happening. Could not win the duel one-on-one, gets the trade instead. And now we have the ink coming back in. A little bit of a push coming out from Don't Sub. Grenades coming in on top of that. Bombs all over the place. Here comes the Machine Slasher, gets the splat on top of that. And now they're just going down bit by bit. Trades for trades all day.
Yeah, so many trades happening with the Rainmaker positioned in mid here. Both teams are trying to poke at each other and see who can get the upper hand. Right now, though, looks like Don't Sub to Shinexx once again in position to grab the Rainmaker and gets 3 members from Yami. So the Rainmaker did not move much, but they are doing a great job at stalling this out.
Another flank coming out. Shinexx doing a fantastic job of getting that charger. Going for the trade on top of that. It's very important to get rid of that backline as much as possible. Just try to like make that push as easy as possible. You are a sitting duck as Rainmaker. Well, the charger is up. Here comes the Inkjet. You have plenty of room to try to get some cover fire going on. Pushing it down to a clean 26 points. I don't think they're done just yet, though. We'll have to wait and see. Hold on. So 4-2, they're going to back up at this point. Going to let that reset back to neutral.
I think it's interesting, too, they actually decided to start pushing the Rainmaker on this right side instead of the left side that they did at first. So the right side does have a little bit more leeway for you to be able to push further. It still has that uninkable area where you can't paint, but it's a little bit smaller than going the left side.
And Yami has a lot of specials on deck here. They have 2 specials. Unfortunately, they're going to lose them. Couldn't find an opportunity to try to like bring that into their favor, trying to wait for that perfect moment. And they're starting to get delayed here a little bit, trying to straight out their death bit by bit. Here comes the Booyah Bomb. Going to be a huge opening. Gets caught down yet again. Don't Sub for Shinexx still in this fight. Has a slasher and an end zap left in the game.
Yami's doing a really good job at their defense. They are not letting Don't Sub to Shinexx get the Rainmaker even further and getting it to that final pedestal to dunk it. So once again, Yami grabbing the Rainmaker. This play looks really similar to what we saw in the beginning of the match with 2 members down, though this time Don't Sub to Shinexx has 2 members down, 3 members down. It's just that N-Zap Tetsu has the Rainmaker, and they are pushing it to this first checkpoint.
That was an incredible Chaizuga splat coming out from Hunty. You saw that there was tons of opportunities for her to just shoot all the way into the background. Not only create space for the teammate, but catching splats on top of that. Chaizuga is such a strong special if you have like a wide open space to be able to shoot that. Here comes the Whaler coming in, going to help displace Yami a little bit. Let Don't Sub to Shinexx be able to get that pure aggression. Comes in, gets a splat on top of that, baits out Ty, tries to get another one just for good measure. It keeps this push a truck, and again, Yami, 1 player left, has to get back in there. Look at all of these inks. Use the inkjet to try to push it even further. Gets a fantastic trade on Hunty, and now this is going to be a big push to just try to hold on to the center map as much as possible.
this is that position and point in the map and mode for Rainmaker where it's like, hey, do we just like let the Rainmaker sit here? We're in the last 30 seconds of this. We know the other team needs to get the lead. So, I mean, we're seeing Don't Sub to Shinexx do exactly that. They're just really puppy guarding the Rainmaker right now, trying to just not let Yami get to the Rainmaker. But with 2 members down of Don't Sub to Shinexx, this might be the opening that Yami needs to get the Rainmaker and start pushing to get the lead.
Speaking of, this is the push that they've been waiting for. It's now or never. 10 seconds to go. Oh no, they lost the Rainmaker at such a crucial time. That can actually spell out the rest of the set. They're going to try to hold on as much as possible. They're all going down left to right. Don't Sub Shinexx gets the Rainmaker, pops it, and takes that game number 1, stopping any sort of momentum shift from Yami in its tracks before anything gets started.
There was some definitely, I think Yami had really good defense there. They were doing such a good job at like not constantly feeding in and when they needed to be on that defense when it got really important to that last checkpoint. That was something that really stood out to me that Yami was able to do.
Yeah, just honestly, there were so many opportunities where Yami got 3 splats or almost a wipeout every single time. It's like, okay, now's the time to push.
Yeah.
But the regroup from Shinexx's team was so strong every single time they were able to get back into the action in the heat of the moment and get their splats. Again, their Slayers are killing it, going to the back line constantly and just taking them out one by one. And that just like, that's all you need, right? If you could take out someone's anchor, that's when the team just falls.
Yeah.
They're called anchor for a reason. You know, just having that backliner is so important, as whether it's a charger, a splatling, a tri-stringer, sometimes whatever you want. Like it's so imperative that they stay alive. That's their goal, is to stay alive.
Yeah, and I think too the way that Don't Sub to Shinexx, we saw them do it on the previous set that we got to watch, but the way that like Shinexx in particular is under the drops, even though there's like 2 members down on their team and just constantly adding pressure and making sure that they act as a distraction and not give up space. I think that's something that they are doing that's really important to the way they play. And like you said, their recoveries, even though they get 2-3 members down, something about the way that they're able to recover from that is really, really awesome.
And also the double sloshing machine was actually a very solid pick for that map in particular.
Yeah.
Because sloshing machine's already a really good weapon just to start off with, but having that inkjet super was very important for some of those pushes, right? Because there's a lot of times where they're just painting from down below and all of a sudden they go into the inkjet and they just skip that little jump they're not normally supposed to be able to make and try to challenge people. It's that's such a big boot on that map. It's going to come into Clam Blitz for game number 2. Let's see if this counter pick is going to be able to work out for Yami. Got some weapon swaps.
Looking at the weapons here, we see Tetsu actually going over to the Dually Squelchy, so no more double machine for Yami this time around. And then on the other side, Don't Sub to Shinexx, looks like they are playing what we have previously been seeing them play.
Yeah, looks like they want a little bit of mobility, right, with those dualies. Having the ability to be able to go for rolls on top of that could be really useful on top of that. And just having this big push, especially on a game mode like Clam Blitz where you need to be moving all over the place. Look at this push. That was very daring. Challenging a 1v3 and then backing off just in time to be able to get that gigantic push. Don't suffer Shinexx. Already off to a fantastic start. Pushing this ink bit by bit. They have control. They're going to get that first football in. Let's see how many clams they're going to be able to score on top of that. I like that they just don't stand there either. They're swerving back and forth while they score. They're trying to stay alive.
Yeah, dodging and weaving there, trying to stay alive. I love too that we got to see Twigs hold that position for a little while, throw up that splash wall, and just hold ground like that. With Yami having 2 members down right now, we got, I was going to talk about Yami having 2 members down, but this is that aggression I was talking about, the way that Shinexx and Twig just stay up in, just have that aggression and have 1 member up in the other team spawn and just make it hard for the other team to even get ground.
Like, what do? So much aggression is happening. It allows the other team to be able to go in the background and just collect clams all day, every day, and just build up further and further. And they're going to keep scoring. Everyone's on that enemy side. 26 points, 23. They are scrapping over here until finally, Yami gets them all into the zone. But hold on a second. That blaster's still in place somewhere.
Blaster still in place somewhere. And wow, that snipe from Red. This is like the defense that we previously kind of saw from Yami. They've just doing a really good job at holding ground, and we're seeing Red in particular. That anchor roll, like you mentioned, Asti, just being a really, really good position. But with Red going down, here's Shinexx being that aggressive point where they make sure to focus on the anchor and take that down. That's something that's really, really crucial, especially for Yami to focus on.
it's so difficult for Yami to just get any sort of headroom. They're just getting overwhelmed constantly. They can't get any sort of map control. Finally using a pity clam as a way to throw it out, give up their position. Unfortunately going to get caught out by the Whaler in the trap. I love the usage of the Whaler they go for. It's all about putting them where you want them to go, and now all of a sudden another clam on top of that. They had it built ready to go. All this is happening because Don't Stop the Shinexx is not only playing hyper aggressive and not allowing Yami to come out of their spawn, they're also dominating the center of control of the map. Look how orange it is. We have finally a big pick on the anchor, and that might be something for Yami to be able to finally make a push of their own.
With Yami just having red up though suddenly, I mean, right when you said that, suddenly 3 members went down on the side of Yami.
Just like that.
Yeah, the aggression. I mean, it's standing out so much right now. And with, you know, the map is completely painted in Don't Stop the Shinexx's color, and Huber on that charger, on the anchor for Shinexx's team, is just holding mid and just constantly getting these jump-ins and making it so difficult for Yami to just figure out how to get into mid at all.
Oh, another splat on top of that. Let's see how they're going to be able to move out of this. Has 6 fans ready to go. Needs 2 more, but unfortunately gets called out by yet another aggression coming out from this Tri-Slosher as they're going to try to keep pushing this. They're not going to be able to get too much effort on there, going a little bit overzealous, and they're still in the enemy zone. They have not, I feel like they've never left the zone. They're just constantly here, applying aggression.
Yes. It's either Shinexx or Twig. Just, you know, it feels like they're piggybacking so well off of each other, and they just are doing such a good job at doing that back and forth. And they are not letting Yami get in a position to really paint mid at all. And we see them, I think Yami's doing a really good job at trying to get clams, but they just can't get into mid at all to even push those clams that they're making.
It's not only that Don't Stop the Shinexx is playing hyper aggressive, but they're also making so many paths for themselves to be able to go either left or right. It's like they're constantly mixing up what direction they're going to be coming from. So anytime they get any sort of like leg route, all of a sudden they get flanked from the other side. So again, Yami back in it again here in the background, trying to paint as much as possible. Here comes the Whaler's going to displace them. That's out to the races now. Going to go in there, get a big pick on Hunty. Let's see how much more they can be able to do on top of this. Got the roller, going to be able to let them back out, but all of a sudden it gets pincered by Opie over there. My gosh, everyone is being splatted. What does Yami do?
Yami just, you know, we're in the last 30 seconds of this. Yami, like I said, they had done such a good job at trying to keep their power clams alive and get those clams, but with this aggression, they just have to try and figure out what to do. Where do they get a power clam? With the only 15 seconds of this, though, I don't know if that's going to be possible.
They pushed them so far back. Yami was all the way in the behind the hoop, had no ink of their color. Look at this map here real quick. I want to look at this map so badly. Look how orange that is. That is not their side of the map.
That's true.
Why is it so orange? It's orange all over the place. That's all you need. Having map control is so crucial in Splatoon.
Yeah, it really is. That having map control is really important because then that allows your team to be able to move through that. If your team doesn't have the map control to move around, they have to stop and take time to paint for themselves. So that's something that's really, really important.
Yeah, just whenever you're like in the opposite color and you're trying to move forward, you have to stop a little bit to shoot their ink, unless you're like a roller or a brush, you know. But like even then, like it's still so hard to be able to maneuver and try to like have a sort of recovery moment. Like I feel like that entire game, Yami could not get out of their base. Like anytime they finally did, Don't Stop the Shinexx was right back at it again and just winning their fights. Honestly, that's what it came down to. Shinexx was just winning their fights again and again and again. Sometimes they weren't even fights. They were just flanks.
Yeah.
Being splat from behind. You don't even see it coming.
And something that, like we just talked about, having those flanks was important for them because they had the map control to be able to pull that off. So they were able to just constantly utilize the paint that they already had on the map to just push up and be aggressive. They didn't have to show themselves painting and expose themselves to the other team. So that was really, really a big part of them being able to be aggressive.
And what's nuts is that Yami is a really strong team.
Yes.
But like you put them up against Shinexx's team and they look like the skill gap feels like it's super huge right now. But like they're still really good. I feel like they're just getting outplayed, outmaneuvered, and maybe even counterpicked with the weapons. Let's wait and see how game number 3 is going to come out here. By the way, I love in between the games when you can just like have a little bit of training zone action going on.
Yeah, I love that too. I love that they added that to Splatoon 3 because in Splatoon 2, you're just kind of sitting there like, tapping your feet. Just
on your phone.
Yeah,
you know.
on Twitter. But this one, you can actually kind of make sure your hands are warmed up, make sure your mentality's warmed up, and get ready to go into the next game.
Get your aim on deck, you know.
Yeah.
But practicing your aim is very important, you know, especially as a brush player. You know, you got to be able to, you know, aiming. Anyways, don't sub the Shinexx facing off against Yami here for game number 3 here. We're going to the bridge, y'all. We'll see how this is going to be able to go down. Splat zones might be the final game of the set. Again, this is a first to 3 to see who's going to be able to take this win. So there's still anything could happen here as Yami's going to be representing the green team. Don't sub the Shinexx on the pink team.
I love that Red has the E-leader and Cuber also has the E-leader. Being able to utilize that range. Speaking of E-leader, Cuber getting 2 snipes right away. That's literally what I was going to highlight, is how good E-leader is on this map and mode. And Cuber's just doing a great job at showing exactly why it's so good on this map.
It's just such a long pathway vertically, right? So you can just have all the range in the world using that E-leader. And now we see Yami with a surprising lead already out the gate. Taking away that zone, and now they're playing hyper-aggressive. They're the ones going into the enemy zone and preventing them from being able to come to the center. But at this point, all it's going to turn into is don't sub the Shinexx to try to build up as much meter as possible to try to let the specials rock. But unfortunately, they're getting counter-specialed right now, so it'll give time for Yami to jump right back into the frame, make it a 4v4 yet again. 30 points left to go. Hold on a second. They're actually putting up a fight, Rissa.
You know what? I'm actually looking at this too, and the colors look like they are swapped. So on the top, so don't sub to Shinexx is actually the green, and then Yami is actually the pink. So, but regardless, speaking of making a comeback, Yami has actually gotten the zone in their favor, and they are getting points on the board. I love this.
Yeah, finally trying to counteract this a little bit. Getting a little bit of action here, 50 points remaining. They're starting to get pushed down a little bit. Only has the E-leader left to go here. It's going to go all the way back. Try to play that anchor royal, let someone super jump to them as well, trying to feint out, but on the range on it, got caught from that far away, that high up in the air. Devastating for Yami's team.
Yeah, Yami's team, though, they did give those penalty points over to Don't Sub to Shinexx, so I think that was really important for them. Now they just need to figure out how they want to get their specials together and try and get in position to get the zone back. We're seeing Hunty here use this Trizuka to give space to their team, taking on this 1v1 with Odds and able to win it, but Shinexx follows up Odds and takes on Hunty and goes down.
Dude, Shinexx is always on the move. The second they get one splat, they're already going to the next one, trying to find their next target. Throwing in one last ditch with that Booyah Bomb to try to take back the zone. Managed to put penalty points on and is still staying alive for at least 50 more seconds. And a wipeout to boot. Okay, Yami. Coming back into this fight. Now it's all about them trying to paint. Unfortunately, they're all going to be able to regroup here with their defense to see how well they're going to do. They already got one person down, a little bit too far forward potentially with a 1v4. Had to play a little bit more defensive in that regard. We have splat suction bombs coming into play. Hold on a second. Yami's going to be able to hold on to another splat on red. That's going to be huge. Trying to get something going. Oh no. Shinexx's team is just out of control. It's just so tough.
This is that aggression that we've seen from them. They play it so well. Once they get in a position to be able to utilize their aggression, they go head first. They go straight into that aggression and really, really own it. And that's exactly what we saw there right at the end.
It's looking like Don't Sub the Shinexx is definitely taking that first seed. Gonna get that free trip over to the top 8 side of the bracket with that waterfall side. What are they doing? You got to dance? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yo, come on. Yo, come on. You got this.